Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. For those tuning in on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X, we're glad you all could be with us today. Also, we're going to bring in our radio audience that's tuning in for a special episode today here at MEX WYED 94.1 FM and WYEDonline.com. And last but certainly not least, going to connect with our friends over on Amazon Live. Have a special treat for you guys today. What's better than having one short on our broadcast? Well, two, of course. And that's exactly what we have today. So I'm excited about their first joint interview with us here on Cyrus Webb Presents. We're now live on the Amazon Live platform with Cyrus Webb Presents. I want to thank you guys. I didn't mention this earlier on our broadcast for making us once again one of the top 5 media shows here on Amazon. We could not do all of this without you guys. If you're not following us on Amazon, make sure you guys do hit that follow button either here in this corner or down below. Now, you will see the books by our next guest. I have some of them here. You have books from Dr. Anissa Short, as well as Coach Alphonso Short. They also have a joint book together called Love Vibrations. I'm going to highlight for you guys. And they're the hosts of a special podcast as well called Love and Laughter. We're going to talk to them about what it's been like for them to build their brands individually, but also to come together, work together, and to share some valuable tips as well. Coach, Doctor, how you doing?
Doing
Fine.
great.
Hello, happy Monday.
Hey, glad to have the two of you on with us. Really appreciate the time. And so, ladies, first, Anissa, I have to want to start with you. As I mentioned, you two are really a power couple. And I'm not even trying to be funny when I say that. In that you all are building your own individual brands, you have your own individual identities, but then you're able to come together and create something as well. What has that been like for you, Anissa, to be able to have your own lane, but also to be able to come together with Coach to create something together?
It's been a great experience. I can't complain. I mean, it's been that since day one with us. We worked always, even when we were both federal employees, we had our own individual lanes in which we worked. But then at any given time, we could come together and bring something together as a unit. So it's really an expression of who we are, our marriage, our relationship since day one. But I'm thankful that we're able to function in this capacity and that you've noticed that we are a power couple. Hashtag.
Yeah, yes, you are a power couple for sure. And I didn't have to read the notes you'd given me to say it. I knew this. Coach, what about for yourself? I mean, what's so interesting, Coach, is that your individual lane is so different than Anissa's lane, which is great. But then you all are able to come together and talk about marriage and relationships. What has that been like for you?
It's been a good experience, and we are quite different in the lanes that we run in. I primarily am working with youth, the young adults, a lot. So I think it kind of brings a little peace where we're not really got a traffic jam of information coming at each other with the same stuff all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. ESP Presents. Hello to you, Ellen. Good bit to see you over there on Facebook as well. Let's see. ESP Presents says, "Hope we gonna get you later." He seems to be a laid back guy,
Yes.
and I think that's what's so great about what you guys have been able to do. So, and so let's talk about how this started, because again, when I first met the two of you, Anissa, you were the one who was really the one doing the books, doing the podcast. Then I found out when I met you guys in Fayetteville, I didn't even know until that visit that Coach had books as well. Did you always know, Anissa, that the two of you wanted to do something together?
No, it evolved over time.
Okay.
My being engaged with the authorship space, writing books and assisting with helping others get their books published, it was kind of in my wheelhouse eventually as a result of working in the business sector, in the entrepreneurial segment. So it came naturally. When Alphonso and I met, he'd always been working with kids, doing things with youth, various nonprofits, hosting camps, things of that nature. And then it evolved to him working in the school system as a volunteer to mentor kids. And then he started something called Today's Short Story, where he was sending 200 or 300 text messages out every week. And I'm like, you need a Facebook page, create a community on Facebook. He was very averse to having anything social media, but he listened to his wife. And so then that got established. And then I realized, well, you're posting all these great messages and you get a lot of great feedback from people. Why don't you put it in a book? And he was like, well, if you want to. And so we did the book. So, and then after a while, I was like, why don't you do a podcast and engage with men? Because you do a lot of, conversing with men about a lot of different things. And so it was an evolution. I believe it was always destined to be, but it didn't happen overnight. It wasn't really, I would say, something that we thought of in the onset. It just evolved into this over time.
Okay. So, Coach, I want to ask you a couple questions to go along with what Anissa just shared, because I think what she just talked about is what a lot of husbands probably have experienced with their loving wives, and that is, being strongly suggested that you do certain things that can be able to help you out. I want to talk about the social media space for you, though, Coach, because this is something I've been finding interesting in a lot of different sectors, but authors in particular, speakers too. What is it like for you now, Coach, to be able to have this expanded audience when it comes to social media and to reach people, quite honestly, that you never would have met otherwise?
It's stretching, but it's a good experience, and I don't mind sharing. Again, we've talked many times before. I'm a behind the scenes individual, critical and analytical thinker, but I provoke thought. So my messages that I send out is to provoke thought to individuals, whether they're young adults or children. And so now to be more visual, so to say, to the audience is something that I'm learning, and I hope to improve and get better at it. But I enjoy it, and I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing for sure, because my thing is connecting people together, and particularly with my podcast, Man Exchange. But to connect people, even with my today's short story, is just to share commonalities of thought and thought processes, and give people, again, like I said, provoking thoughts and new ideas for people to challenge themselves in their own journeys.
Well, that leads to this follow-up for you then, Coach. I'm going to bring in what you guys are building together. So, Coach, I want to ask you, and you and I talked about recently in another interview, I think it was here on either on Amazon or on the podcast, and that is about, what is traditionally thought of when it comes to us guys, and that is that we don't communicate. We're not open. We don't express ourselves. Have you found that that's become easier for you, Coach, as well as your audience through the platform that you're building?
Yeah, I'm finding it easier for myself for sure, and just, I guess you could say, learning tricks of the trade to get more open discussion with gentlemen on different subject matters. Anyway, we may talk, in a normal, I say, barbershop talk. I don't have to go to the barbershop, as you see, but on that premise, so to say, that, hey, let's just be open and transparent, and it's a safe space for you to talk and share, and in doing so, we are elevating and helping each other as men become better men, again, like I say, personally, and for our community and for society overall.
Exactly. So then, Anissa, when it came to then Love Vibrations, talk to us about that book and how it came about.
Well, this book came about once again, Alphonso and I talking, it goes back really probably almost 20 years, 15 years ago. We were in, actually, we were thrust into a leadership position in our church to be over the marriage ministry. That was not something we volunteered for. We were voluntold. And so it evolved. I think it really began to evolve from there. We started coordinating quarterly events for the couples in our church, and including like retreats and things of that nature. And so we thought once we left that specific city and went somewhere else, we would continue the pattern of hosting events specifically for couples. And then, of course, life happened and we put it on the back burner. And when we revisited the idea, by this time we were living in Fayetteville. And then we started doing every other month events with couples, just like a date night. That's what we call it, the date night affair. And then the book came about. It's a devotional and geared towards couples. And we were always going to use that as like our gift. So if we ever had a retreat, everyone who came to our retreats or one of our bigger events, everybody would get a copy because it would be included. And that's just kind of really how it evolved. Alphonso and I were supposed to do 15 days a piece. Well, he was going to do 16 days and I was going to do 15 days. And then I liked his writing better. So I had him to write all 31 days. And then I just added little stuff like the, 10 steps and, the welcome or something like that. So really, the most of what has been written is by him, but it is a group project. So yeah.
I love that. So, Coach, is writing something you've always found? You all mentioned earlier about the short stories. Is writing something that you've always been drawn to, Coach?
Kind of, I'm a note taker, and I
Okay.
actually used to write quite a bit of poetry that was lost in moving and things that may not be lost, maybe in a box somewhere for 20 years. I don't know, but but definitely I was not keeping copies of anything, so I had to go back and just revisit doing writing. That's how short stories started. That I could go back to some of my notes and revise them and clean them up a little, and then leave it to Anissa to make it pretty and professional.
Hmm.
And I but it's easy for me. I'm always thinking something. I keep notes on paper, on tissue, in my phone,
Post-it notes
whatever.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm moved by just things that's happening in everyday life,
Yeah.
and how I process and realize that everybody experiencing a lot of these things in life, and how do we look at these challenges and teachable moments? Do we look at them as defeat, encouragement, or victory? And however, let's look at them as that we will continue to move on with our lives no matter what the situations are.
Yeah, love that. And then we're going to talk more about that when we get into your podcast together, Love and Laughter. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, see you guys over there on Amazon. Feel free. I've been toggling between the different books by Anissa and Coach here on the Amazon side, so you guys can be able to click through on those. As Coach was talking earlier, I had his book Sunrise there, the devotional. I had it highlighted. Also, you can see Be Transformed there as well. And then, of course, when Anissa was talking earlier, I did highlight their one together, Love Vibrations. You can also see her other book there too that we've talked about, The Quintessential Woman there too. I also want to say for you guys joining us on the simulcast, you all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents. We have Dr. Anissa Short and Coach Alphonso Short joining us today. Their first joint conversation with us here on Amazon Live, talking about the books they've been able to produce, the audience they've been able to reach, and now the podcast that they've been hosting. So, Anissa, I'm going to go to you with the podcast again, Love and Laughter. So, this conversation is always interesting for me as a happily single guy. I've had some therapists come on my show, marriage therapists, and when I talked about marriage being worked, one therapist didn't like I said that. She says, "No, don't think about it as work. It's not work." But it seems like in talking to people, this that marriage is work. I mean,
It is.
so talk to us about what that's been like for you to be an example of what's possible in marriage, but also opening up a platform where others could express themselves.
Well, to your point with regards to marriage being work, it is work. It's very much work, but it's all in how you look at it. So
Yeah.
the example I will give is this: once upon a time, I was employed by this great agency, and it was stressful to no end. I showed up and I did what was expected of me, but I was miserable the whole time I was there. Even
Mm.
no matter what, it was, and it began to have an adverse effect on my health. The flip side, years later, I'm very much engaged in work, but I absolutely love what I do because the mission of what I'm doing is aligned with my values. I think
Mhm.
marriage works mostly like that. If you are connected to someone whose values are not aligned with yours, then the work can be misery. It can be a struggle. It can be hardship. It may be even adverse to your health. But when you connect with someone who you have in your life and you're blessed to have values that are aligned and they are just as respectful to you as you are of them, they are just committed to you as you are of them, there's still work to be involved to keep life and laughter in the marriage, but it's not hard.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it all depends on what type of work you're engaged in.
Gotcha. So, Coach, for you, as I mentioned, I talked about earlier about the struggle that some of us guys have when it comes to communicating, opening up, talking about relationships. I don't think it's easy for most people, but I think especially guys, they may struggle more with this than maybe the wife might or even the girlfriend might. What has that been like for you through Love and Laughter, Coach, to be able to show men one? It's helpful to have these conversations, but also what you can learn by discussing these things with other married couples.
Well, I enjoy the opportunity. I really can't even say it's a challenge because, as we get past that old idiom that men don't talk. We do talk, and I think a societal norm is that we don't talk a lot, and I don't talk a lot, but I have a lot on my mind that I will share, and particularly when it's to help men or for me to learn. Sometimes it's really illumination that I'm saying something. They say, "Oh, that's how to." I don't rehearse life to talk to someone. I listen acutely, and I share not just from my heart, also experiences in life, and I can we can look at the gloom and doom, which gets us nowhere, or we can look at the teachable moment and how we're gonna, like I said, move forward from that situation or situations or circumstances, that we become better people, better human beings.
Yeah.
I don't really get in that struggle of the husband, wife, man, male, female type thing. We are. That's just the bottom line. We are who we are. And my wife has never had pressure on me that I need to change something specifically that she's comfortable. We work to comfort each other. And I'm a man of peace,
Mm.
and my wife is peaceful. So it's a good combination. One thing about it is that she's her work is from home. We've worked from home many years. My job allowed me to work home at least three days a week, long
Okay.
before COVID. So
Yeah.
we learned how to mix with each other and work and have the zones that we know, the no trespassing zone at certain times, that she's doing something and I'm doing something, and we've collaborated in a great way.
Yeah.
So, Cyrus, if I can add
Yeah.
to your question, one of the things is, even before Alfonso and I were engaged in this celebration of marriage, is kind of how we choose to look at it.
Mhm.
He's got male friends who he converses with, or people that reach out to him for advice all the time, especially those that are married or newly married. And I think it's important to emphasize that our platform is not about necessarily counseling people or comparing one marriage to the other, but
Mhm.
just to remind people that your marriage is what you make it. And when you choose to keep love and laughter at forefront, you can get past all the other things that happen as a result of, quote, life. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, keeping love and laughter at the forefront. And so that's what we choose to emphasize, the celebration of marriage from their perspective.
Love that. So, Coach, Anissa used the term earlier, and I've heard her use this term before, voluntold. So, Coach, were you voluntold that you all were doing this podcast, or was it you that said, "Hey, let's do this podcast together"?
Pretty much, it's in the contract, so that language is normal.
Okay. 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 So you all can read between the lines.
Yeah.
Anissa, you talked about, though, that this initially began in North Carolina, right?
We
Were
did,
you
right.
okay? So you all are going to be making an announcement here today that I'm excited about. Talk to us about how Love and Laughter is now evolving.
So initially it was intended to host events, live events, and we have not stepped away from that. But by the time we got everything, initially kickstarted, really kind of haphazardly, but we got it started. We had about 5 or 6 other couples that were excited about connecting every other month or so. And then we moved. So I was like, oh my goodness, we got to get settled in a new place. But I don't want us to stop. So let's start doing these Love and Laughter podcast experience once a month, just as a way to transition from what we had initially started to get settled in where we are. And then, of course, that started, we started that once a month, and we had the endeavor to, we had friends, other couples who would join us, and we would ask them questions, and they would talk about the covenant of marriage and what that looks like and what it was like for them. These are people with experience, because we realize everyone has their own experience, so they bring a level of wisdom with them. So once a month was going just well. I mean, we were on a roll every second Thursday of the month. And then we had a session with our publicist, who told us that once a month sucked and we needed to do it more often. So
Not exactly how I remember that
yeah,
conversation.
that's how it was interpreted. No, truthfully, Your suggestion of us doing this more consistently, we understood the logic behind it. It wasn't, we were not adverse to that idea. We just had not implemented it. So we were like, well, we've talked about doing it more consistently. Cyrus, you offered the advice and we humbly accepted. And so we decided that as of March, the first Thursday in March is going to start our weekly showcase of the love and laughter experience, a date night affair is what we call it.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, congratulations to the two of you. Yeah, I didn't exactly remember saying it that, and other people will agree with you that that's probably what I said, but that I don't personally remember, but I'm getting old. So I'm not going to
got to use those terms, but that's what you meant. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, look, I think this is going to be great. I think it is something that is needed. And it's so interesting. I have a friend of mine that's in the entertainment industry. And one thing that he's been really talking about is that he wants to see more rom-coms. He wants to see more. And he was talking about seeing more Black love exhibited. But even outside of just that, just more people coming together rather than everything being so divisive and shoot them up, bang, bang. They're really showing relationships working. And so I definitely am glad to be able to see that. And I'm glad that you all are bringing that to this podcast. So, Coach, I want to ask you for men that are watching this, who are looking at this and say, wow, here is a couple who's doing it, who is doing what I want to be doing when it comes to working together with my mate, being able to have these conversations. What do you hope your platform that you're building, Coach, does in not only encouraging those conversations, but inspiring others to see creative ways they can be able to do things with their spouse as well?
Yeah, my advice to them, or I would say, if you're thinking of something, and particularly for improvement of your personal relationship, and you feel can be shared with others to enhance their relationships, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. I mean, anything that needs to be modified or edited out, you can do that along the way, but get started. And also, I am open to please drop us a email or something so that we can see what's going on, and maybe we have some tips. We're not professionals at all of this, but always willing to learn and always willing to share.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that brings up this point to you then, Anissa, I wanted to ask, because I think a lot of times people expect marriage to look a certain way, right? That you have to, be this example, right? Is that part of what you hope in Love and Laughter too, Anissa, that it shows that, what? It's a process. Everything's a process, but it's about being able to go through the process together.
The message I hope that people gain from watching us and some of the conversations that we have with other people is that marriage is not always pretty, but it's real. It is what you make it. Is what you make it. We cannot sit here, Alphonso and I cannot sit here and say the 27 years that we've been together is perfect. I don't even know what perfect would look like, but I know we've experienced a lot of life together. Mm-hmm. And at the forefront, what was most important was our relationship with each other. So despite all the challenges and the things that may have come about that we may have caused, or even that may have just happened because life's. Yeah. At the end of the day, it was how can we work through it and how can we get through it together, and how we can still be here for each other. It points back to what I said earlier about being properly aligned with the right person, Yeah. And when you are, I believe that plus your faith, the foundation for which you've built your marriage on, will help you get through any time. So we'll have nuggets. We definitely have nuggets to give. We have real life situations to offer people, but we don't profess to be perfect. And we're not, like he said, counselors, but we are real people living a real life that are really serious about celebrating the covenant of marriage and seeing more marriages in our communities make it.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm really excited about this. Congratulations to the two of you on what you're doing separately and building your own individual brands and platforms, but also in what you guys are doing together. Again, everyone, Dr. Anissa Short, Coach Alphonso Short have been our guests. They are definitely very active, very involved, and also very encouraging. As you can see here, you can get their books here on Amazon. Before I let you guys go and share how our audience will stay connected, Anissa, we talked about it recently on your individual show, but you have a new book that's coming out. Talk to us about that and how they can pre-order it, as well as how they can stay connected with the two of you.
Okay, well, they can. The book that I have coming out in March, which is Women's History Month, is entitled The Voices of the Quintessential Woman. It has everything to do with mentorship. 9 other women, along with myself, share real stories to serve as nuggets or wisdom or practical knowledge to pass on to someone else. One of the questions I ask my co-authors is, if you had to give your 19-year-old self some advice based on the life you've lived, what would be the advice you would give them? And so it ranges from everything from marriage to dating, financial, handling your finances, protecting your mental space. It's a nice hodgepodge of a lot. And they can find me on Facebook at Dr. Anissa Short, as well as on LinkedIn at Dr. Anissa Short. And if they're interested in pre-ordering, they can just send me a message and get that. And then Alphonso has a link tree. Link tree is linktr.ee/Coach Short. You can reach him there. Everything that he's doing, everything he's done, everything he's connected to is on that platform.
Love it. Well, thanks to the two of you for the time. I really appreciate you guys coming and, spending a little bit of time with me. I know it's a big week for you, Anissa.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And so I appreciate you all taking that time for us and looking forward to our next conversation together.
Thank you again,
Thank
Cyrus.
you.
You're more than welcome. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents and Conversations Live for our radio audience. Until next time, y'all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you.